virtual public hearing meeting of the Board of Trustees of Flower Bluff Independent School District, August 27th, 2020 at 6:02 p.m. I'll call it to order. Let the record show that all board members are present. I did get a notification that we did not have any audience comments. This is a public hearing. The public is invited to comment on the proposed budget for the 2020-2021 or tax rate for the 2020-2021. That is hard to say, school year. My goodness.
Oh, no.
We did not have any comments. So Mr. Kelly where do you go? Oh, there he is. This is weird because we usually wait for people to get up and speak or come in. Since we don't have any comments, then I'm going to now adjourn this meeting at, is that proper? Am I good with that, Mr. Kelly?
I lost you there for a second.
Okay. We don't have any comments, so there's no reason for us to continue with this meeting, correct?
No, we have opened it up. We also had a place for the public to comment online. And if there are no comments, we are free to close out of this meeting, go into the regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay, then let me make it official. May I have a motion, please, to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn the special meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Rank.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Welp.
Peters.
I'm sorry, was that Ms. Peters?
Yes.
Okay, I need to, raise hands because I'm obviously not very good at identifying voices. Okay, so all in favor, please, of adjournment of this meeting? Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to the regular board meeting of the Board of Trustees held this August 27th, 2020. Call to order at 6:04 p.m. Again, we do have a quorum with all board members present. And at this time, I'd like to call on Pastor Jess Cole of Grace Community Church to lead us in the invocation.
All right, let's pray. Father, thank you so much for each of these that are here serving our community and serving our students. And we just pray your hand to be upon them. We pray blessing over them. We thank you for each of our teachers and administrators. We thank you for our students. And we just pray that you will just cover them with your love and your peace and your wisdom. And that's what we pray for in this meeting, Father, that you will just direct their path and that the decisions that are made will just honor you, but will be good for this community. And so, Father, just be in charge of this. And we pray it in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pastor. We appreciate
Thank
that.
y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Jess.
Now, we will take part in both pledges. So if you would, please. There we go. And you may stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee. Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Kelly, do we have any presentations tonight, sir?
No, ma'am, we don't. And if I fall out of contact for a second, I'm going to go to the hotspot on my phone because I seem to be having a little bit of trouble. So.
Okay. All right, thank you. And again, we did not have any audience comments, so we will move down to audience access. Audience members, please be advised that the entire board informational packet is posted on the Flower Bluff ISD website under the link Board of Trustees. It can be accessed with any device with web access capabilities. The packet is developed by the superintendent and staff to provide information on the agenda items for the board. All right, item 8 is reports that do not have presentations. This includes summary of finance reports, update on capital construction projects, update on current enrollment, communities and schools annual report, 2019-2020 School Health Advisory Council annual report. Does any board member wish to have one of these moved to reports with presentations? Just raise your hand so I'll know. All right, seeing none, we will now move on to item 9A, update on bond projects.
Jay, are you ready? There you are.
Now I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay. Well, as you know, we're finishing up the high school interior renovation project. And right now we're in the punch list phase. We do have in the 500 wing where we added classrooms, the air handler was a very long lead time item. It did come in about when we expect it to. They have installed it. It has been started up and the controls contractor is finishing up installing all the controls for it. We expect that very soon they'll be ready to do the test and balancing. And once that is complete, we can do the energy code required commissioning on the air handler and the associated VAV boxes. But the rest of the project is in punch list, and I think that that is near completion as well. So hopefully it'll be completely finished very soon. The one capital improvement project that we worked on is the tennis court resurfacing, and the courts have been painted and striped. However, there's some punch list deficiencies that we're working on. Some of the stripes are a little wavy. They need to come back and touch those up and possibly recoat in a couple areas.
Okay. Any questions from the board for Mr. Porterfield? Well, at least, you know, I guess one of the positives about being virtual is that people can get some work done. You don't have to work around the kids necessarily. At least we can get some of that done.
Yes and no. That's true. Now that teachers are there, we do have to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There is one, well, I say kind of small thing that is going to have to wait until one of the holiday breaks that we decided to do as a betterment to the project, and that's replace some of the main electrical gear that serves that whole 500 wing. But we can't shut it down until we have a break because we do have teachers in the building.
Okay.
Because power will be out for probably a day or two.
We're kind of used to that. I'm just saying.
But we don't want to do it on purpose.
No, we don't want to do it on purpose. No, we don't. All right. Any other questions, comments? Thank you. Thank you, Jay. We appreciate it very much.
You're very welcome.
All right. Moving on to item 9B, update on the formation of a Flower Bluff ISD Police Department.
Madam President, had some last minute concerns, not about the formation, but about the process. And I would like to pull all items related to the police department until I can answer that board member's concerns, because we want to make sure we're doing everything correctly.
So that would be report 9B and
9B, 10. Wait, I'm on consent. It would be under action. It would be 11A and B.
11A and B. Okay, so we're going to pull all three of those. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good, sir. Thank you.
You bet.
With that said, let's move on to item C, update on personal protective equipment. Mr. Kelly.
Yes, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bargansky. She's been doing a great job riding herd on all of this. And I meant to bring this before because another board member had brought it up and I just flat goofed up. So I'm bringing it up here. So Dr. Bargansky, where are you? There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
I can.
Okay, great. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I did the report on the protective equipment. As you can see, the attachment was the inventory bought by Flower Bluff ISD. That's the first section of items and quantity. Mr. Robles from the maintenance department, Chief of Operations and Maintenance, has been doing a fantastic job of getting sanitizers, getting all different kinds of equipment for us. And I do want to tell you that we did get almost everything from the state yesterday. The only thing that we have not received are the gloves. And so I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Robles, and he will go over all the things that the maintenance department has bought for our students and for our faculty to keep them safe.
Okay.
Well, I'll start with what we've actually purchased in terms of face masks. We've got 1,450 of those. We have 100 gallons of hand sanitizer, 20 pails of hand sanitizer as well. We bought a bunch of hand or instant foam sanitizer, surface wipes, which are like the Clorox bleach type things. We got 1,680 canisters of that. We have dispensers with stand. We have 10 of those. Hand washing stations, 8, and those will be placed throughout several locations in each campus. Hand washing stations, more sanitizing white buckets that are just larger. Face shields, whether they're single use or multiple use, it's a combination of 400. We got 120 thermometers, 600 pair of gloves. We're installing 10 bottle filling stations at each different various areas of the campus. That electrolyte, or for the disinfector, what it is, it's for the misters. It's the product that goes in those electrolyte misters, and you mist each campus or whatever area, that needs to be done. We also purchased some UV coil cleaners. It's the latest and greatest of that type of cleaner. Bunch of trigger sprays and the bottles, and what part of that use will be on the buses when the kids are loading. As they embark, we'll spray their hands so that they can wash them before they proceed on past the driver. We also, the little caps that go with them, bunch of cloth, 16 by 16 inch cloth. The 4x8 sheets of acrylic, it's a clear plastic that we've put in front of different entryways. If they didn't have one, the secretary's desk or whatever area in the public space that we could hang them from. And just some glass filler, mountain glass filler with a pedestal. I mean, that's just so that, we make sure that, again, if there's an area that we can't hang something, we'll just place that pedestal there and it'll support the weight. What Dr. Brzezinski was talking about from the TA, we did get almost everything, which I think it's a good start for when students do finally come back. One thing that we have been tracking is the availability of different products, and it seems like the market is somewhat stabilized in that if we need hand sanitizer, whether it's even small pumps up to 5-gallon pails or even the 55-gallon drums, they're available. So if we run into that, we're pretty sure we can get those pretty quickly. Same thing with gloves and face masks. So I really believe we're well suited if and when the kids come back, as well as all administrators and teachers.
I'd also like to say that our plan is to get these on the campuses at the end of this week, beginning of next week, so that each principal will have the items that they need before staff and the majority of the staff and students get back on campus.
I just want to add that you got to keep this in perspective in terms of what we're being asked to do by the state, and to compliment our staff for all the work that they have done so far. Ronnie and I were attempting to have a conversation about, how do you social distance on the bus and stuff like that. And I spent a couple of hours on something we'll be talking about later on in the meeting, trying to figure out how to follow these recommendations with the number of kids we have. So my hat's off to these folks that have already done the heavy lifting on this work. I also want to add that I talked with Don Youngberg this morning, and every principal has signed off on, we're getting 3,000 little plexiglass deals that sit on the desk and they fold flat so the kids can truck them down to the cafeteria and set them up there. So
That's good.
yeah. So every principal has signed off on that. Don went to personally see the last couple of ones today, and they're all for it too. So as far as I know, that has been ordered today or will be tomorrow.
It was ordered today. So hopefully we'll be getting them mid to late September for the 5th.
And that's a local vendor, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think it was CC Distributors, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Thank you, folks.
I just want to say, Mr. Kelly and board, I tell you what, Mr. Robles and Don Youngberg have done an awesome job of getting all this material together and keeping everyone in the loop. And I just want to say thank you to the maintenance department.
Very good.
Well, I will say it really is Don that is the individual that's heading this up. He is really making sure that we're having what we need. So, and basically I'm just asking him, hey, where are we on this? And he's taken care of. So he's a godsend, I will tell you that.
I have a question, Madam President.
Yes, sir. I'm looking for you, but go ahead. I can hear you.
This is Jeff Rank.
Yes, I see you now.
The line item that says hand sanitizer dispenser with stand, do we only have 10 of those for the entire district?
Yes, but we have wall mounts as well.
Okay.
So that, and it's the same style, basically. It's either you lift it with your hand or, pump it with your hand and it goes into, those are more for if we have a remote space where we can't put it up, at least we can put them there.
Okay.
And Mr. Rank, I believe those were bought for graduation when we had them out during graduation. So that's just an extra 10 that we have because of that.
Okay. So there will be more than 10 stations around campus where people can get hand sanitizer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I imagined that was the case. Just didn't understand. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board on this one? Well, I thank you for all this work because this is a big deal. It's a very big deal. And I on behalf of the board, I thank all of you for the work that you're doing on it because I don't know, we've not done it before. So yay, you're doing a good job. All right. If there's nothing else on item C, let's move on to item D, which is my favorite. Review of policy update 115 local affecting local policies. And this includes everything listed from 1 to 13. Mr. Kelly.
Those of you that have worked with me before have heard me say on these type of deals, the TASB, their job is to try and interpret what the legislature meant, okay? We're about to go into the legislative session in January. They're still sending updates from the last time the legislature met. The reality of the situation is they produce the legal and you better adopt the legal, okay? You have some leeway on the local, but it better be pretty doggone close to what they recommend that it works with the legal part. So you got a little bit of leeway, but not a whole lot. We're a 2-read district, meaning that I'm just bringing it to you. This go around, next board meeting, it will be an action item. The problem if we, if there's any, I hadn't heard of anything that in particular that anybody has a problem with. Shirley, you had something and you and I talked through that on, I think it was EIF, but that's pretty much it. I mean, they shoot us this stuff and then we have to move with it. So.
Okay. Questions or comments from the board on any of this? Okay, very good. Let's move now to the consent agenda. All items under consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Trustees and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as an item on the regular agenda. A board member may move to approve the consent agenda as presented with any requested items removed. Does any board member wish to move an item from the consent agenda into the action items? Okay, that said, I entertain a motion. Oh, let me read them. That's A, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of July 30th and the special meeting of August 11th, 2020. Approval of updated out-of-district transfer students for 2021 school year. Approval of budget change requests. Approval of Texas Teacher Evaluation Support System appraisers and appraisal calendar for 2021. Approve the Skyward Student and Finance Software annual license fee. Approval of adjunct faculty agreement with the Texas Cooperative Extension and Resolution regarding extracurricular status for the 4-H organization. And approval of frontline annual license fee, because we did, and approval, I'm sorry, I skipped one, and approval of public school district and open enrollment charter school agreement with Texas Virtual School Network for the 2021 school year. Okay, so I need a motion.
So moved.
Who was that? Oh, thank you, Jerry. Mr. Hooper. And a second, Ms. Welp, see you. All in favor, please hold your hands near your faces. I can see. Okay, very good, 7-0. All right, now we'll move on to 11A, action. Oh, we're gonna skip 11A because we pulled that. Let me move down to, and we skipped 11B. We are now on 11C, approval of district unemployment insurance renewal with the Texas Association of School Boards. Mr. Kelly.
This is pretty much a standard deal. Emily, I forgot to ask you if you had any comments on this one, but do you?
Where is she?
No, I don't. It has gone up just due to the COVID and the pandemic that we have.
Okay. Let me get to it. It has, I'm sorry, you said it's gone up because of the COVID, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Questions, comments from the board? Okay, then a motion, please.
So moved.
Is that you, Mr. Morgan?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to read in the amount there? I think we might need to, the amount of $68,235.
So moved.
Okay. Good one, good one. And a second? Where?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Peters, I appreciate it. All in favor, please, hands here. Very good. All right, 7-0. All right, now we're moving to approval of the 2020-2021 budget. All right,
Yes, ma'am. First of all, I want to thank Emily and Louise for all their hard work. I know that no one wants to start off with a deficit budget. I personally believe that we will end up balancing this budget throughout the year. But I want to, again, thank them because concerns were brought up and they went back and they went line by line. And I think they reduced it, what, 180 to 200,000, something like that. So I know that this is the very best budget that they can bring forward. And part of it is reflective of the time. So we would ask that you would pass this budget, please.
Okay, questions, comments? Everybody's had the budget book in hand.
The only comment I'd make is, knowing that we're a deficit, Joe, and I know it's a tough time, is maybe we should, every time an opening comes up, we need to be a little more critical. You know, we need to think about, should we fill that role or can we reallocate within the district, rather than just approving. And I'm not saying we just approved, but I would like a little more scrutiny under these times.
Absolutely. Make sure that happens.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hooper. Other questions or concerns, comments? Okay, then a motion, please.
Madam President, I'll move that the board adopt the 2020-2021 budget as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Rank. And a second? Thank you, Mr. Hooper. All in favor? There we go, 7-0. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to item 11E, vote on the one additional Tier 2 golden penny for the 2021 school year. Mr. Kelly.
Yes, ma'am. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the compression of the taxes, the golden penny. What I do know is the golden penny nets us about $600,000 in revenue that we definitely need. So to ask that the board consider to unanimously approve it. And Emily, do you have any other comments you want to make?
Okay.
Sorry. No, that's pretty much sums it up.
Okay. All right.
House Bill 3 did start the tax compression, which was passed this past year, or went into effect this past year.
Okay.
Okay, questions and comments from the board? Looking for hands.
I have a question. This requires unanimous board approval. Is that correct, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Any others? Okay, that said, then, and thank you, Emily, because I think I had way too many questions about it, but I needed to understand it. I still don't completely understand all of it. I've been working with the school finance stuff for a long time and not on a day-to-day basis, so bless you for doing it. It is difficult just to comprehend what it is that happens with the money, and it is a convoluted system at best,
And it will probably change this next legislative session.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was just a little news flash. Yeah, probably true. Okay, that said, I need a motion, please.
Well, Madam President, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You're kind of breaking
Okay.
up a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay, can we just reiterate that the use of this additional Tier 2 golden penny does not increase the tax rate over last year's rate?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's true. And actually, it's a little, Emily, could you give
It
us
is
the numbers
less.
exactly?
Yes, it's the tax rate for, if it is approved, would be 1.0664. And last year it was 1.07.
1.07.
Yes,
Okay.
so it is reduced still.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Mrs. Welp. That was a good point to make. We knew it, but others needed to know it as well. All right, now a motion. Anybody?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hooper. And a second, I'm looking. Mr. Rank. Okay, I got Mr. Rank there. And all in favor, hands here, please. Very good. The golden penny is in. Thank you very much, Emily, for all your work, your group. All right, we are now at item, where am I? 11F. We'll be voting on the 2020 tax rate. Is that right? Yes, tax rate and adoption of the tax levy for the 2021 school year.
Okay. The ladies had prepared two different ones depending on whether the golden penny passed. So Emily, steer us to the correct one that we need to adopt.
It's going to be the tax ordinance that has the $664.
Okay, so do I need to read that into the record, Mr. Kelly?
Yes, ma'am. I think that'd be good.
Okay. Before we get the motion, says date August 27th, 2020. On this date, we, the Board of Trustees of the Flower Bluff Independent School District, hereby levy or set the tax rate on $100 valuation for the district for the tax year 2020 at a total tax rate of 1.0664 to be assessed and collected by the duly specified assessor and collector as follows: 0.9664 for the purpose of maintenance and operation, and 0.1000 for the purpose of payment of principal and interest on debts. Such taxes are to be assessed and collected by the tax officials designated by the district. That is the ordinance. Now a motion, please.
So moved.
Who was that? Mr. Morgan?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
And who was the second? Ms. Peters, was that you?
Yes.
Okay. So a motion, Mr. Morgan, second, Ms. Peters. Other questions or comments before we vote? All in favor? Very good. All right. Item G, discussion and possible approval of Texas Education Agency waiver request for 40% campus hybrid instruction for 9th through 12th grade students. Mr. Kelly.
Yes, ma'am. I've spent probably about 3.5, 4 hours in the last 2 days trying to wrap my head around this particular one. Here's what we've got. We got 1,900 kids in the high school, and we're getting ready to send out another commitment letter so that we'll have current data. But it was about 50-50, 50 wanting online instruction, 50 wanting to come to school. So if you think about that, you know, let's just call it 50-50, because we'll find out in the next week exactly what it is for the upcoming deal when we have kids. So what they're asking us to do is follow all these guidelines with that many kids, okay? So we're trying to be creative, and every high school in the country is trying to be creative to meet these guidelines, to keep our teachers and kids safe. And tonight, all we're asking you to do is approve this waiver, not with the guts of it, because if you look at the TEA form that was included in your book, you don't have to tell them a whole lot at this point. It just has to, we have to approve it 2 weeks before the start of face-to-face instruction. Well, our September board member meeting would fall past that point. So we'd just like to get approval for this so that we can get that place marker in there, and then we'll come back and tell you some of the things that we're looking at. You know, all this is being vetted by Mr. Crenshaw and his crew through the teachers, and it's probably going to be some sort of, and this is temporary, this is a transition to try and see how things are going to go. Probably going to be some sort of A/B type schedule, but don't hold me to that. I got to hand it to the high school and Dr. Sham, Dr. Bargansky, and all the people that are involved in this. It gave me a headache both days in terms of trying to figure this out, because, you know, again, how do you meet these guidelines? And you already see the pictures on the news, a typical high school with 800 kids walking down the hall. There is no social distancing. There's no mask, that sort of thing. So we're trying to put something in place that would ease us back into the situation of all day, every day. And there's so many moving parts to this. I mean, like, how do we do online plus face-to-face, okay? It's either gonna require some technology money. Everybody's trying to figure this one out. I did talk with Dr. A out in Cal Allen, and they didn't apply for the waiver, but they are going to have a transition phase. And I think theirs is about 2 weeks. Now, they've only got 1,200 kids. So let's say 50% of them want to come to school and not do the online. They feel like that's totally doable. We're talking about possibly, if it goes 60-40, we could be up to about 1,100 kids. I have worked at Cal Allen High School. 600 kids in that big of a facility is doable. 1,100 if we just brought all of ours back in, poses a lot more choices. So we're just asking the board approval so that we can file this with TEA, and then we'll keep you updated with what it's actually going to look like. Okay? Questions?
Questions from the board? And I know Mr. Crenshaw's here too. I see, at least I see his name. Are you there, Mr. Crenshaw? Yeah. If there are any questions or comments about this, Mr. Hooper.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that, I'm all for transitioning back into classrooms. My thrust is to get us back in the classrooms as soon as possible. I've had kids now and teachers and parents that have contacted me, and all of them, I haven't had one of them that says they want to have them stay home any longer. Everybody wants to go back to class. Of course, all the necessary precautions and everything in place. So I think we need to do it. I think a transition period works. I think the hybrid waiver for the high school specifically is a great proposal. And I think we ought to make it happen, and we ought to get back to the classrooms, after our 4 weeks is up and we get there in October. I mean, I'd like to do it before, but that's what we've done. So.
Well, let me point out that one of the reasons I wanted to bring up the waiver for the extra 4 weeks, we're going to get to see firsthand all around the area how this thing plays out with the other high schools. I mean, who knows? I mean, with all the movement from the storm, people being in shelters, and the way this thing spreads, who knows how that's going to play out. We spiked after Memorial Day, the 4th of July. We still got Labor Day to get through. So I'm glad that we have, I appreciate your comments, Mr. Hooper, and I'm glad that we've got a little time to see how it works at the other districts that are going back on whatever it is, the 8th, I believe it is, September 8th. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm all with you. I want those kids back in there. And I know the parents do, and this is just an attempt to try and ease into it and see what all the moving parts are. You got transportation, you got cafeteria, and we're not sure who all is going to show up. So we're just trying to keep everybody safe. And this is just a logistical deal tonight in terms of getting this waiver submitted to TEA within the time frame.
And you did say, Mr. Kelly, that a new commitment letter is going out?
Yes, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. I'm hoping they all go out tomorrow, at least from the high school, so we can get an idea. I think Mr. Crenshaw said, Dr. Schaman, how old is the last one? It was like a couple of months ago that we sent those out?
Yes, the last survey that we conducted was during registration. And so that was all the way, it started July 1st, and we ran that survey all the way through August, I believe the 6th. So we got a lot of data there. And like I said, we had to tweak the survey in the process of registration because prior to that, they had given us 3 options, and then we tweaked it to just offer remote learning and face-to-face. So, but going with this waiver for the high school, now we're able to offer, well, it's still going to be, face-to-face or remote, but it's going to be a hybrid, just like Mr. Kelly said, just for that transition period until we can get everyone back
on campus. I'm sorry. I feel certain we can get that commitment form out tomorrow, because we need to know who's
absolutely. Yeah. And then I was talking with with Ronnie, when we do that commitment form, we also want to include some questions about transportation. I think that'll be very good information for the transportation department to see what the numbers that they'll be dealing with at the high school and for the rest of the other campuses.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I have a question about,
yes,
I noticed that we're doing this for just the high school. My understanding previously was that the junior high was on a similar plan. Are we going to be doing this for the junior high as well, or is there?
No, this waiver only applies for grades 9 through 12.
Okay.
Are we sending commitment letters to all students though?
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
high school students. Okay, okay.
The whole district will, everyone will receive a commitment form.
Okay. That's kind of a funny statement, Dr. Shaw. And Mr. Hooper, I've heard the same things as well. I haven't yet run into the parent who wants the kids home much longer, but so we're working toward getting them back into school safely.
Right.
Not that we don't all love our children and grandchildren. It's just that somebody needs to love them as well somewhere else. Okay, is that it? If then we need a motion, please.
Madam President, I'll recommend that we send the waiver request for the 40% campus hybrid instruction for 9th through 12th grade to the Texas Education Agency.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rankin. A second?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Welp. Further comments or questions? All in favor? Very good, thank you.
Go.
And let's move to item 11H. Discussion and possible approval of the repair cost for high school gym. Mr. Kelly.
Yes, ma'am. Board members, I'm not comfortable with the way I'm bringing this forward, but because of some of the history, that was the only way I could do it. Let me lay it out for you. We have an architectural firm that has done the design, the redo of the entrance to the gym, which we all know needs to be done, and put it out for bid. And Barcom was the lowest bid. The way it was worded, we are not bound by the lowest bid. The only reason that I'm bringing it to you as a either or accept no bids is if those of you that have been on the board remember that Barcom did the tennis courts, and the tennis court situation has been going on for 5 or 6 years now. So the way Mr. Robles has put it to me is that Barcom is now willing, and I believe had even given us an insurance claim number. They said they didn't know about the problems with the tennis court. Honestly, I was here then. I don't see how they couldn't know about it. Okay. Now, what they're attempting to do is get their insurance to cover some repair on the tennis courts. Okay. And that would be great. But we have asked both the Barcom was the lowest. Ronnie, the next one was Progressive, I believe. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Progressive was willing to push their bid back for 30 days. Barcom was unable to do that. I will point out that in all my meetings with Ray and Erasmo about this, that the final situation was they pointed out that Barcom did meet all of the benchmarks that come with within that particular contract. So I didn't want to just bring that as the low bid. So your choices are, we either go with Barcom or we go with Progressive, or we reject all bids. Okay, Ronnie, you want to add something to this?
No, I mean, I do believe, like Mr. Kelly's pointed out, the bids were, they were good bids, but given the history of Barcom it's really a choice that it's a hard choice to make whether or not we proceed with them or go to Progressive.
So I just want to lay it out there so we can get some discussion on it.
Mr. Kelly, do you have a recommendation?
I honestly, I wouldn't know the guys from Barcom if they walked in the door. And I never dealt with them firsthand. Obviously in terms of cost, all of this is over budget, I believe by about $200,000. So, you know, and we are in a tight situation money-wise, so going with the lowest bid makes the most sense, okay? And I am appreciative of whatever the motivation is that Barcom at this point in time is attempting to, you know, they have filed with their insurance company to do some repairs to the tennis courts. So I honestly don't know their reputation beyond what we dealt with. Ronnie, I'd called you. We missed each other right before the meeting to see if you had ever worked with them in other situations or in the rest of the bond. I know you weren't around then, but you want to comment on that?
Other entities I've been a part of, we've done some work with them and really have not had any issues with them. They were, I mean, very receptive if we pointed something out in punch lists or whatever the case might be. I mean, they came back and fixed whatever the issues were. I mean, the sum of money on some of those projects were anywhere between 50,000 up to about 250,000. So it's in the same ballpark as the gym entrance. So at this point, you know, I would say I have not had bad experience with them.
Okay. Well, and here's the deal. It kind of reminds me of some of the other contractors during the bond process that we talked through. The conversation can be with them that this is your chance to really prove yourself, so to speak. You know, you need to back up and do your work like you're supposed to and get it done in a timely manner. So.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, you have, Dr. Needham, go ahead.
Okay, I don't recall how bad the entrance is, you know, whether there's a safety issue, structural safety issues, or, you know, whether it's more cosmetic. I don't recall, but my 2 cents worth is if this is not something that's absolutely vital, I would shelve this because we just went to our teachers and told them we didn't have any money and we couldn't give them raises, and we're going to spend over $500,000 to rebuild a gym entrance when we may not even be having sports.
Yeah.
I just, unless there's some kind of real structural issues there, then I would wait.
Well, that was my question too, Jim. So I asked Mr. Robles about that. It is some of the steps are pulling away from the wall, and there's a slant towards the grass area. But like Ronnie said, you know, if you're paying attention to what you're doing going up the stairs, there's really not a safety issue as I see it. Ronnie, do I have that captured correctly?
I think his
we
screen's
lost her.
frozen.
I think
Yeah,
we lost her.
there he is.
Yeah, I mean, it is not as, I mean, it is a safety issue, but I think Javier Huerta the architect from CLK can answer that question much more in depth.
Okay.
Uh,
We can't hear you.
yeah, I don't think there's any sound. Still not.
Nope.
Nope, there's an audio issue.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
sir.
All right, good. So the gym entrance has, the steps in the gym have settled. The slope on those steps is pretty severe. It is a safety issue, especially since it's been recognized as a problem area. The only option that you have right now, if you want to table this item, is to close those steps and not use them for public, because it is a safety issue. And since you've been made aware of the safety issue, if somebody was to fall, they would have a significant claim against the district.
So I have a question then. Is it possible to do that? Is it possible to close this particular entrance? And like Jim said, with us not having sports right now, or certainly an uncertain year, can we use an alternate entrance to get through this year?
There's an entrance on what would be the west side. There is the downstairs entrance, and it would create some inconvenience, but you have bleachers that you can get up to that second level from the inside going in downstairs. And then on that west entrance, there's a set of stairs that will take people up to the second level also. So it is doable.
If we were to do that, does it create any fire egress issues?
That's where the problem that we would have to do a calculation of max. Well, I mean, right now in this current situation, we don't have a lot of people in the gym, but we would have to do a calculation of the maximum occupancy in the building because it would be reduced significantly.
Question. Are both sets of staircases up to the top on both sides, are they both bad?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Also, inside the gym, the lift or the elevator that's in there, I know it's a struggle to get that thing to work properly going up and down. So that's something else that needs to be considered.
Yeah.
So this entrance is solving both the ADA issue, access from an ADA access to the spectator area, and the safety issue with the steps.
And if we don't do anything with this separating from that wall, is it going to continue to separate even further, causing more damage?
It has almost in some places the steps have already a 5% slope on the steps.
Yeah.
And it is going to continue because the ground underneath is completely washed off. There was no foundation for the steps when it was built originally. So when the berm washed down, all the steps are just sagging down.
So we're looking at most probably more cost if we wait.
No, not necessarily from that perspective, because we're demoing all the steps. We can't salvage any of the steps or the landing. So no, not necessarily from that. The only future increase would be just cost of construction.
I will say that we've tried, or historically they've tried to repack that berm, but just erosion it continues to eat away at it, even if more sod or dirt or whatever has been placed back in that area.
Is it possible? Is it possible to? I don't anticipate that we're having pep rallies. I don't know that, but that's when we have the most kids in the gym, or the most people in the gym, is during a pep rally. Basketball games, yes, we get a few, but the pep rallies pack the gym. So in terms of fire exits, is it possible? I know we have 1, 2, 3. There are 4 exits, correct, on the lower floor. Is that what we're saying? There are 4 doors out of that.
You know what?
Three more. There's 3 more.
3 more.
Yeah.
Is it possible that we could get by with maybe putting in another door somewhere in case we do? I don't know if we're going to have the big groups at this point.
Yeah, I think that's the wild card there. Right now, the traditional pep rally, I think, is on hold. Are they going to have some type of one? Maybe. I don't know. I hadn't discussed that. But the issue that Mr. Huerta brought up in terms of it's publicly being stated that we acknowledge we've got a safety problem, that hits home, okay? The other thing in terms of the ADA access, that's a biggie also. So we're now giving that information, we're almost either go with the bid, or we're going to have to, as he stated, we're going to have to block it off. Because if somebody gets hurt on there after that, and I don't know what it would take to get the elevator for ADA working. I know we don't have any ramps up to the second floor. It's only that elevator, correct?
That's correct.
Right.
That's the only access.
Yeah, okay.
I have 2 questions. Number 1 is kind of a procedural one. If we were to table this and kick it 6 months down the line when we know more, is that something we can do and then immediately pick it up at another board meeting?
Well, not with these current bids. Barcom's bid
Okay.
is good until,
September 9th.
okay, if we do that, we're gonna have to go back and bid it again. And I don't think we're gonna get much difference and probably get a little bit of increase. But Jim's got a good point. You know, the teachers, you know, seeing that building being worked on, and you may be playing basketball, but you may not, but you couldn't give me a raise. There can be some blowback there. So.
And my other question is, and this is going to reveal that I haven't been in Renoski gym for a very long time. Is it possible that we could,
it's the other gym.
No, I understand. It's the other gym that we're talking about, but is it possible we could use Renoski to continue having sports during this time where we're not ready to fix the front of the new gym?
Jeff, when things are normal and we're rolling, on a typical night, you got basketball at every gym that we've got.
Okay.
You know? So trying to kick the varsity games over to there is tough. And I'm not even sure what all renovations we actually did to Renoski. But no, I mean, typically the way they're scheduled, you got junior high, JV, and varsity all rocking and rolling the same night. So I don't see that as an option.
Jerry, you have a question, comment?
You know, I hear the ADA comment and I hear the safety comment. The first thing about the safety is the way I look at it, if that's the case, it ought to be blocked off right now. So my suggestion is tomorrow morning or this evening or whenever, very quickly, go block it. We need to figure out how to utilize what we have under those conditions, even in the short term. And, you know, I think about the ADA side and access to be able to watch games and things of that nature. You know, I'm not certain that the second level is required if we can actually, you know, provide them access to watch the games and do the things that need to be done. That can be on the bottom floor. I don't know about, you know, I mean, we may have to make provisions on restrooms. You know, we have to think about those things. But the other one is can we put in a temporary access, even staircase wise, to get to the second story? Because I think of a lot of things that people do for putting in stages and things of that nature, where you actually have walkways that are created by, you know, planks and things of that nature, such as aluminum structures and things of that nature. I don't know if that's a viable option to get us to the other side and use the current concrete that is obviously shifted and use that as a base and have staircase up with a temporary system. But I think that, you know, if we just limit the capacity even and say, what if we just limit the capacity and say, we're not going to use the second story, at least in the short term. You know, we're going to use the first story and we provide for those types of situations. I know that there's concessions and all that type of stuff to consider, but I think we could find a solution. And, you know, I have a real issue in my mind going with Barcom at this point as well, because I just don't see, you know, I haven't seen them perform on the tennis courts. And to your point, Joe, how could they not know? How could they not know after this many years? That's a big concern to me. And so I'd like to see them do something before we actually award them something. That's just a personal preference.
Well, that was my conversation with Mr. Robles. I told him, I said, I don't want to sound cynical, but saying you're going to do something and actually doing it, excuse me, it's two different deals. So I know that they have filed and correct, Ronnie, and we have an insurance claim number, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
But that's the reason we were asking, could you push it, you know, make this bid, you know, still good for, push it out for another 30 days. And as I understand it, Barcom was not able to. You can see the reason, like I say, I don't like to come to you like this, okay? But this one's a little bit complicated because of the history with Barcom. So,
what it's worth, I very much agree with Jerry. I think there's another way to do this, and to Jim's point, I don't think that we should spend $500,000 on ensuring that we have 100% capacity at our basketball games, and we can't give raises to our teachers. I don't think that's a wise expenditure of money right now. And as Jerry was saying, I share his trepidation with regard to Barcom. I mean, this tennis court problem isn't a new problem. So them recently filing a claim coincidentally, at about the same time, we wanted to get a bid from them for a new job. That doesn't smell right to me.
So, well, your option is to reject all bids if you so choose. And that could be our course of action. And we could get the place closed or barricaded up and then see how this plays out. We can always come back. Something does need to be done. I mean, it's been a problem since I was a high school principal. And I know we've tried to repack dirt in there, but it somehow it just keeps washing out from underneath it. And now the steps are pulling away. We've got the slope that Mr. Huerta mentioned. So given all of this, Madam President, it sounds like the motion to entertain would be to reject.
Yes, I think we're ready for that. So a motion.
I move to reject all bids.
Thank you, Mr. Hooper. And a second came from Mr. Rank. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Hands here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like all of us. Okay, very good. All right. And we're going to get that barricaded, I understand, correct?
Yes, first thing in the morning.
Very good. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. All right. I think what I'd like to do first, I want to go ahead and skip to number 13. We'll do personnel recommendations before we go into closed session, because we do have a closed session. Is that right, Mr. Kelly?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to discuss some things with the board.
Okay, so let me go ahead and get the personnel recommendations out of the way, and that'll end our everything except calendars, announcement, and those kinds of things. That way, if anybody's watching, they can just sign off. They don't have to hang around any longer for that. So I will entertain a motion for personnel recommendations, please.
So moved.
Who was that?
Jennifer.
Thank you, Ms. Welp. And a second?
Second.
Is that Ms. Peters?
Yes.
Thank you. All in favor? All right. And now, Mrs. Welp, if you'll go ahead and get us into that closed meeting.
Yes, Madam President, I make a motion that we move into closed meeting under section Texas Government Code sections 551071, consultation with an attorney, 072 real property, 073 prospective gifts, 074 personnel matters, 076 security devices, 082 student discipline, 082 employee complaints, 0821 personally identifiable information about a public school student, and under Education Code 39.030A assessment instruments, and also public notice is given pursuant to the Texas Opens Meeting Act, Government Code 551, that the FBISD Board of Trustees may elect to go into a closed meeting at any time during the above meeting for discussion of subjects properly before them when authorized by the provisions of said act. All final votes, actions, or decisions will be taken in open session.
Thank you, Mrs. Welp, for that motion. And a second?
I'll second.
I got Hooper there. All in favor? Let the record show that we are going into closed session at 7:05 p.m. Okay.
Hey, Alex, working magic.
We are returning from the closed meeting. We are re-entering our regular meeting at 7:33 p.m. No decisions were made in closed session. We are now moving on to calendar items. The board may set dates for special meetings and hearings and receive information regarding other special dates. Anything on the calendar, Mr. Kelly, that we need to know about coming up?
No, not really. I mean, we've already had our special meetings for that typically do every year in terms of the budget. So I don't anticipate anything other than our regular meeting, which would be September the 24th.
24th, okay.
Yep.
All righty. The board may submit requests for information to be considered at the regular September board meeting. I think Jim's emailing me. No, maybe not. Yeah, there he is. Trying to return. I got back in just by going back and re-entering. Can he do that?
Yes.
Okay. Go to. Okay, I sent it to him. I'm sure he wants to make some comments at the end, but I'll go ahead and continue. Agenda items for September. The board may submit requests for information to be considered at the regular September board meeting. Announcements, Mr. Kelly.
I just want to remind y'all what a great central office and campus level folks we've got. They have been, I mean, just knee deep in this. And again, what the state is asking us to do is practically impossible, but we're going to figure it out. And we've got some great people working for us. I also want to give a shout out to Alex. Alex got onto some money that the Corpus Christi the city council, Alex beat the other school districts to the punch, and we're getting what, 37,000?
Yeah, it's right under 37,000, and then TEA should match those funds. So really double that is what we should be getting.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Alex, I keep telling him his stock is up. So good job, Alex. I don't know where he's got the mole and how he gets the inside info, but I'm just glad he does. So that's really all I have. I just wanted to remind you what you already know. We got great people, and thank you.
We do. And Alex, that's really awesome. That's awesome. Appreciate that. Okay, we are down to remarks from the board members, and I will start. Looks like Jennifer, you're first on my picture list here. Sound. We don't have your sound. No sound.
I'm here. You don't have sound?
There you are. There you are. Now we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I know since we met last time, school has officially started, and can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just leaning in.
Yeah. Okay. You want me to lean in? I know that we have dropped in attendance. I wanted to hear more about that and make sure everybody was all able to get online with the technological issues. And I wanted to hear about some of the strengths and the challenges. I was hoping that during the survey, the parent survey that you will be sending out for the commitment, I know you're going to be asking whether they would return to school or continue on with remote learning. And maybe this isn't the place for it. But I know it's been challenging. I've had great experiences so far with my children. So I just want to applaud everybody for going in this year in the virtual setting and just doing so well with it. Another thing I really wanted to address is that we can't forget, while we want to consider all of our academics, we can't not consider the emotional and the social side of the lack of social that these kids have had over all these months. And I just see so much chat. They just want to talk and want to talk to each other, and it's causing, just anyway. So I just don't want that to get lost in this transition as we think about it. And I just can't stress enough how important our communication is. Thank you for sending that out on Tuesday, that we approve the way, or TA approved the waiver, and we'll be going back in October 5th. So at least the parents and the students know what to actually expect. While I too would have wanted to get in there sooner, I know that getting all these safety precautions together and making sure all of our ducks in a row is important. But I do appreciate everybody here. Thank you for sticking with us, and thank you for all that you do to ensure that our kids are getting a good education and they can return safely. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Peters, looks like you're next.
Hi. Oh, I just wanted to say thank you again for everybody doing all this hard work on getting our school system back up and running, even though it's virtually. I am 100% in agreement with Ms. Welp on our kids' emotional and even physical and many other, aspects of their lives. I didn't think about how important it was for them to be in school and how much they need that. And I've seen it not only in my kid, but many other kids. And I've talked to a lot of other parents about it. So I'm glad we're working really hard on getting that going. And thank you all, and everybody stay safe and healthy.
Mr. Hooper.
I guess, the one thing I'd say is that we've been through a lot in the last couple months, really last 6 months. And, losing David, you can't think that that's going to happen at any time during your school year. And we've had to deal with that. And so I know everybody at the district, feels that loss. And I appreciate Joe being here. But it is an emotional event for all of us to lose him. I hope that Cassie and the kids are doing well. I haven't heard a lot feedback there, but I'm hoping that they're good. I appreciate everybody in the offices and the faculty and everybody actually pulling together and making this happen and working with Joe. I think that's important. We're doing it for the kids, and we're doing it, obviously for the public as well. So, appreciate that. We've got a little road ahead of us here, and we'll get on it, and we'll make sure we stay on it. And, Joe, with your leadership, I know we're going to be successful as well. So thank you, and appreciate all the work you do. And I hope everybody gets to resonate that through the rest of the organization.
Thank you. Mr. Morgan?
I just want to echo what everybody else has said. Again, I look forward to when the kids can get back in the classroom, and I want to thank the teachers and the parents for all the support and work they've done, and Joe, your team, and just look forward to making this a great school year. We're strong. We're going to get through this.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Mr. Rank?
I can't really add anything to what everybody else has said. I agree 100%. The only thing I will share is a personal story that I thought of when Mrs. Welp was talking about the importance, the psychological and social importance of getting kids back. My daughter, just before school started, hadn't seen her friends in months, obviously. And you all know now what it's like to participate in these Zoom meetings. It's a pretty poor substitute for in-person. She hosted a Zoom party with her friends, and these kids spent 4.5 hours in this sort of situation. So that's the level of desire that these kids have for social interaction. It's critical. So I know everybody's working towards that, and I, like everybody else here, I very much appreciate your work towards that end.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Jim?
I think I agree with everything that's been said. I think most of what needs to be said has been said. I have 2 quick comments, and this is based on having a son who's a teacher in Katy, who's teaching in person and teaching online, and a couple of other friends who are teachers in other districts who are doing that. So that's the first thought, is if we do this hybrid and we have students in classes and we have students at home, we've got to figure out a better solution than telling teachers they've got to do double duty. That's not fair. And the people that I know who are doing that are just stressed beyond comprehension. They're working all day and then coming home and working all night, trying to keep everything rolling, keep all the balls in the air. The other thing is, and this was something that son Kent said, and I think it's pretty profound. He said, the people that are telling us we've got to go back in the classroom are doing it via Zoom meetings because they're afraid to meet face to face.
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and that goes back to, I think, one of the fundamental principles of being a leader is you don't ask people to do something you're not willing to do yourself. And I can tell you right now, I would not be willing to go into a classroom for the next however long, because I think in Corpus Christi, at least, we're a ways away from having a handle on this. Philippe Tissot, who's the director of the Blucher Institute, is a good friend, and I talk to him regularly about all this. And transmission rates are still hovering around 1, and he expects that they may go up. And Chris Bird, his right hand, who's been doing all the work, and the press briefings, he got COVID, and he said, you can't find anybody who's more cautious than I was. So yeah, I understand it's important to get kids back into the classroom. I fully support that. And I know parents are going nuts trying to deal with kids at home and so forth. But I'd rather not have that happen if that means we're going to have kids go back into the classroom and 2 or 3 weeks later, we're going to have an outbreak and it's going to be on our heads. So I'm going to be a strong advocate for exercising extreme caution and looking at the data for our area and looking at the data from the schools who have opened and what they're doing and what's happening. Thanks.
Okay, did I get to everyone? All right, then I guess I'm last. I appreciate everything that all of you have said and all good thoughts. And I want us to remember that in a year from now, we are going to look back and we're going to, one, we will have learned so much and it will prepare us for whatever else comes our way. And we're also going to be amazed at how well we did. And not even, we can compare ourselves now, but not really, but we're going to have to look back, and it takes a lot of patience. It takes some time. It's like anything that's worth doing, the time's going to have to go into it before we really reap the benefits. And here's what I know. I know that I'm very happy to be working with all of you, that there's very little that we can't overcome. And I'm watching it, and I'm so grateful, and I'm prayerful. And I pray for each of you, just like I pray for the school, but individually I pray for you so that we can have the right attitude as we go into whatever we're facing, because we're going together. And I love it that we can talk about things, that we can hash it out, and we still come back together and we work as a team. It's important for us to be able to do that if we are going to continue to move forward. We're not going to sit and just be stagnant. That's not happening. Right. We're going to continue to move forward. It may not be at the pace that we're accustomed to, but we're going to do it regardless. And it's because of all of you. So I thank all of you, and I appreciate you for, I know you get beat up on the outside. I know that it happens to me, but you know what, whatever. You just have to roll with it, because it's part of the job. That's why you took this job on as a leader in the district, as a leader on the school board. That's just how it is. And all we can do is what we're doing. And I feel like we're doing the best job we can do at this moment. And that's going to be the case from here on out. So I thank all of you.
You can look at only one position being challenged, right? It either means that the community really loves what you guys are doing, or nobody wants the job right now. So, anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, with that, then a motion to adjourn, please. Thank you, Mr. Hooper. And a second, Mr. Rank. All in favor? All right. Good night, everyone. Sign off.
Night.
Yes.
Thank you.